Hey, how's everybody doing, man? It's brother, conspiracy brother. I'm the only one here today. Everybody else has some prior engagement, so I wanted to I wanted to try to have as much of the show as possible, just so um, so that we can keep the engagement that we have. Um, and so that's just why I'm here, man. I'm here just to try to do something that's, like I said, as far as engagement is concerned. I had a topic that I wanted to talk about, but I really wanted it to be something that I dealt with the guys with. I like the back and forth we have. Um, I like the way that we, kind of interact, bounce stuff off of each other. So I think I want to just try to save that for the next 2 weeks. But I think it's a good time since it's just me. I probably won't stay. I will try to keep it, 30 minutes or less. But just looking at the world and how it's moving around us right now, things are kind of ramping up. You see a lot of people who are. I mean, the big thing right now going on is the mandates, right? Um, and so we see the mandates going out. We see people on both camps, people on both sides of the argument, pro mandate and anti mandate or con mandate. I don't know what you want to call it. And I think there's a lot of disconnection. What I'm seeing on the pro mandate side, a lot of people who either believe uh, that they believe the vaccine protects people from the virus in a way that I don't think that it really does, and they're not really paying attention. Um, so I think you have people on both sides. They're genuine people who legitimately want. They really legitimately want. Um, they want what's best for everybody, and I think a lot of it is fear. And I don't mean fear in a judgmental way, but I mean it's just uncertainty. People are uncertain about the future. They're uncertain about the severity of the disease. And you have people on the other side, the anti-vaccine mandate, not anti-vax, anti-vaccine mandate people who believe that you should have the right to do what you feel like is best for you. Um, and so um, I hear both arguments. I try to inject my personal feelings about it. If you watch the show, you heard me talk about it a bit. I don't want to really, um, I don't really want to confuse things, but I think a big issue is just trying to just cut through the noise, right? I think we get so entrenched in these camps, and I feel like, I'm the conspiracy brother, so I have to kind of talk about it from this angle. Um, um, but I feel like they play on our tendency to polarize ourselves, right? So one of the things I like to focus on is unity, right? Even though I mean, I can be aggressive, and I can be, real loud and real crazy. Uh, what I try to do is just I try to understand how I can unify us because I think that through unity we can actually overcome the situation. Um, so one of the common things people say is, if you're anti-mandate, we've had mandates for all types of stuff, and you don't have free will to do whatever you want to do. You can't drive drunk. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I mean, I feel like those are real bad faith arguments, and I feel like those are purely emotional arguments because if we understand the context of, for example, drunk driving, you're being asked not to do something. You're being compelled not to do something that is dangerous. One, and two, um, well, I guess it's illegal. That's really the fundamental thing. Is it's illegal, even if it wasn't dangerous. And I mean, if it wasn't dangerous, we could look into why it would be illegal in the first place, but that's irrelevant. And so that's not a good argument, right? Even when you look at people say, oh, well, they've had mandates for all types of vaccines, and they have. And I feel like a lot of the fear people have about getting the vaccine is just it's a fear of the unknown on that side of it, right? It's a fear of doing something that hasn't, in their opinion, been properly tested, right? Because typically there's a multi-year process before you can certify vaccines for full approval. And there's a lot of shady stuff that I've just been doing my own research about, which obscures a lot of people's opinions. And I feel like on some hands, it's rightly so that people are skeptical. My name is Conspiracy Brother, so I'm always skeptical about everything in general anyway. And so, I don't know. It's still hard because nobody's really here. I don't have anybody to bounce anything off of. But it's just, like I said, I don't want to get too deep into the conversation I was going to have. And there are articles out about different things. Joe Rogan had come down with coronavirus and he had a situation with it. And so, everybody's got their own experiences. And I want us to understand that fundamentally, we're all American people and we all have freedoms and rights that should be respected. And we also have to understand that we live in a country where we have to coexist with each other. And we should figure out the best way to do that. We have to be mindful of the people pulling the strings, wanting to create a situation that causes social upheaval and unrest. Right? I'm not going to try to get overly conspiratorial because I feel like it would be unfair of me, right? Because I'm here alone, so I'm controlling this whole thing. And I don't have the views and opinions expressed are not those of the Freeman's Collective with the individuals who spoke them. So I guess I said it. But putting my hat on, I do think, that we need to understand who's controlling things. We need to understand, who's doing what, who's saying what, who's responsible for what. It's nice to believe that your government is safe, but I'm gonna drop names because nobody listens to this really like that anyway. So it ain't like I got so much people, but there's a guy named Graham Elwood. He's a comedian. He does a show called The Political Vigilante, where he basically, it's kind of like our show, right? He talks specifically about the political sphere and dealing with situations with the government, international policy, geopolitical things. And then he does another show with another comedian and a guy who hosts a show on RT called Redacted Tonight, named Lee Camp. And the show's called Government Secrets. And so Graham did this rant not long ago where he was chastising people over their vaccine stance and saying that they were selfish because people in third world countries, they want the vaccine and they can't get it. And it's just bro, you do a show called Government Secrets. He believes, and I'm not saying he's wrong for this. When I say believes, I mean that he accepts this to be the truth, that the CIA has set up in Hollywood since the 40s to influence film and television and international policy through propaganda. He believes that there is a vast network of pedophiles and stuff controlling Hollywood and sexual assault and all this stuff. And I don't necessarily disagree with him. But at that same hand, you want to get upset at people who think that the way the vaccine is rolled out is kind of sketchy. And I just don't see how you could do that. How do you want America to be free enough for you to believe, any crazy thing that you might think that other people think is crazy, but not free enough for people who have something that's far too crazy for you to believe what they want to believe. And so I always try to just put myself in other people's shoes and try to be mindful and respectful. I do like to yell. I do like to scream. I do like to argue. But if anybody, we got a slow show. I even open it up because I don't know. I'm rambling, so I don't want to. But if anybody in the chat wants a link, I can post a StreamYard link. If you want to join in, I'll drop the link. And you hit that link. You want to come in and talk. You can let it off your chest what you feel, how you feeling right now. what you're dealing with as it pertains to the lockdown, as it pertains to this 18 months we've been dealing with this virus, as it pertains to the mandate, pro-mandate, anti-mandate. Um, do you think individual freedom should take priority in this instance? Do you think that we live in a society, and so we have to take society's view in this instance? Call in and I'll just try to sit here and chill and not ramble too much. And if anybody feels free to call in or hit that link, I'll add you into the StreamYard, and you could just get it off your chest. How do you feel if you pro mandate? Call in, get it off your chest, yell at the people who are anti-mandate. If you anti-mandate, call in, yell at the people who you think are pro-mandate. State your claim. But yeah, I'm here. I'm waiting. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I've had a real amped last 2 days. I used Wikipedia earlier, and I tried to edit an article, and the article is locked. And so the article's locked, and with the article being locked, you had to go I don't ever do edits on articles. I've done maybe 3 of them in my whole life, and I did 2 articles in 2007. So I don't really do a lot of edits. And so I'm trying to edit this article, and so I'll get to this comment page or talk page. And one of the people in the thing says something like, why can't we post articles with hidden authors on Wikipedia to cite our sources with? But Wikipedia is a website that offers information that's with hidden authors. And so this person commented, because we tell you not to use, we're not a reliable source. And so I said, doesn't that undermine Wikipedia to say that? You're an encyclopedia, and you said that you're an unreliable source of information. And it got into this whole big thing. But one of the things that I feel like is that shows the real disconnect between where we are in the world and where people are who have pledged allegiance not to a constitution as an American citizen, or not to an ideal, freedom, liberty, justice for all, but to a political party. And so you find people who, well, my team is given the rules this time around, so I'm fine with it. And how I always try to look at it is like this, look at, let's say, whatever Biden is doing right now. Let's say you was a Trump voter. If Trump was doing what Biden is doing right now, would you be supportive of the action? And if the answer is yes, then if you say yes, then I can say you at least operating from a position of good faith. But if you say no, well, then you don't really dislike the behavior. You just dislike who's giving the behavior. If I'm a Trump supporter and Trump was doing everything Biden's doing right now, and I'd be fine with it, well, then you're a bad faith actor. And on that, conversely, if you're a Biden supporter and Trump was doing all the stuff Biden is doing right now, would you be supportive or not? Right? And so, that's the problem. I mean, it's so many issues. Like I said, I don't really want to get into it on this by myself, because I feel like with the other 3 guys, they check me. And I don't mean check me, but they keep me in line, because it's not my show alone. But it's just craziness that we have allowed this to continue in the way that it has. I want to try to see if I can find it. It's a quote from Benjamin Franklin, or at least it's attributed to Benjamin Franklin. And I want to see if I can find it. Let's see. Let's see. Here it is right here. I'm going to share my screen. I want to try to read it. So let's see. So I want to share this quote. And it says, any society that will give up a little liberty to gain a little security will deserve neither and lose both. And I feel like fundamentally, this is the situation we're in. You know, we're in a situation where the government, and like I said, I'm conspiracy brother, so ultimately I hold the government responsible for every bad decision that generally happens in society. But what is happening is they're able, like I said earlier, to weaponize fear and take away a little of your liberty and justice every single day. That's the situation. We want so much to be safe that we don't want to be free. And freedom means freedom to make a bad decision. Freedom means a freedom to get hurt. Freedom means a freedom to hurt somebody. That doesn't mean you get to do it with impunity, but that does mean that's freedom. If I want to get in my car and do something reckless, I'm free to do it. I'm not free to do it without consequence, but I'm free to do it. And we live in a society that freedom is a penultimate tenet of what we do, right? Liberty is freedom. That's what freedom is, with liberty and justice for all. That's what you say when you say the pledge. Now, I don't say the pledge because there's a lot of other stuff in there I don't agree with. But I agree with liberty and justice for all. And I believe that America and the government owes everyone freedom and justice. That's why we do our show. I believe that freedom and justice should be for all people. And I also don't believe, right? I don't believe that that's what we should do. It's a tricky situation. And like I said, it's a lot I want to do. It's a lot I want to say, but I want to be respectful to my co-hosts, because we've worked to build this channel, the four of us, and I don't want to derail it acting unilaterally. But the biggest thing that I've seen from people who are against the COVID vaccine mandate is they want people to understand that the decisions that they're making are their decisions, and they want to feel respected by their choice. I mean, the same way people say, "Oh, my body, my choice," when it pertains to like abortion. You want to have the respect that if I have an abortion, it's the best decision I'm making for myself, irrespective of whether or not I agree with abortion or whether I think it's murder. You want to know that for your specific situation, you are empowered to make your choice and that you feel heard. And in this same instance, that's what people who are against the mandate want to feel. They want to feel like their decision is being heard and respected. Not to mention the fact that months ago, the president said that a mandate was off the table. Not to mention, even longer ago, Fauci said a mandate might not even be legal. Those of us who knew what would come down the pike, we were ready for it. We were ready for the idea. Again, let me bring this out. We knew. There's no reason why you should expect the government to ever just give up. I mean, think about it like this. You cannot bring liquids into the airport. You can't bring them into the airport. You can if you have like a baby or something. But I mean, in general, you can't do it. And the reason they say is because years ago, there was supposedly a bomb threat where somebody was supposed to take liquids and bring them into the airport and designate them on a bomb, detonate them on a plane. And that's been like 15 or 16 years now. And you still can't bring water in, and you ain't never been able to petition nobody to bring that right back. You know, the government doesn't give you. And one thing I've noticed, like I'm not a libertarian. I would guess I have issues with libertarianism, but I feel like for a lot of libertarians, it's a fear of the government and not a fear in that the government is too. I guess it is. It's a fear that the government is too large to be held accountable in the way that the Constitution outlines. And so because of that, people would rather have a powerless, toothless government than to have a government that we have today, where they can unilaterally decide what to do or what not to do. I really wanted to try to do this show today because I want people who tune into us on a regular basis to still see some of us. I would like to have the consistency of every 2 weeks we do this show. And even if we all can't be here, somebody shows up to let you know we can't all be here. And I mean, here's in the chat talking about people who voted for Joe Biden losing a lot of money over these last roughly 18 months. People have lost their jobs, they've lost their homes, or they're losing their homes. They've lost their jobs permanently because of mismanagement and misregulation. You can blame Trump, but at this point, I mean, it's your ball game, bro. You've been the president for a year. You've been in office a year. And I'm not saying it's a flip that just can be switched, but if you can make an executive order to mandate vaccines, you can make an executive order to pay rents or to wipe away at least student debt. You can argue and campaign, and that's really the thing for me. I mean, gas prices have gone up, but how I look at it, we was in a call, some of us yesterday, some of the fellas, and we were talking about reparations, how to make reparations a reality. And I said, well, they could do just like Obama did for trans issues, for gay marriage and gay rights issues. When he turned the White House rainbow color, when he told trans people that we have your back, when they talked about it in the media incessantly so that people got comfortable with it. That's what Joe Biden got to do for reparations. That's what any president who wants black people to have reparations. Right? And that's true. But that's what you need, right? If anybody wanted to bring justice for black people, you'd have to get on the news like FDR did during the Depression and have those fireside chats and explain why you need reparations. You'd have to beat it into the minds of people. Oh, okay. And let me say a special shout out to our, I guess we got 100 or over 100 subscribers. I'm not sure how many exactly, but it's just doing this show, trying to, so I thank you from the Freedmen's Collective. Thank you, all of our subscribers, especially the consistent subscribers like Robinson Hood, Brianna Fry, Dennis Fry, Kelly, Krista, our moderator. One of the other moderator, Rose, is not here, but we appreciate all our subscribers. This is organic. We just, we came together because we had an idea to do a show to educate people. And, we hope that it's worked. We hope that even if you don't agree with everything we say, that you feel our arguments are compelling enough to make you want to come back and make you want to research, even if it's to research to refute us later. But, that's what it is. But yeah, I mean, Joe Biden, all he got to do, but he's not going to do it because he's no good. And I'm not saying that to be political. He is no good. I don't know of any president we ever had that's been good. But get on the news and talk about reparations. Or Kamala Harris, get on the news and talk about reparations. Talk about it incessantly. Talk about it to the point where the reporters ask you if you have any other agenda items. And see if reparations gets passed. See if people have a more favorable understanding of it. And I'm not just talking about lip service. Go into detail explaining why reparations is not only necessary, but just. It's not just important, but it's justice. It's justice. They don't want to do that. Joe Biden don't want to do that. But they want your vote every 4 years. They want your vote every midterm. They want you to come out and give them support. And what do you have to show for your support? Would you go to the grocery store and pay for groceries you didn't buy, you didn't take home? Would you go to the store and buy clothes and say, well, look, I'm gonna pay you for these pants, and then I'll pick them up when you get to it, when you get to giving them to me? No, it's not a charity. Your vote is your leverage. It's your voice. It's your power. Through your vote, you control the levers of power that govern your life. And until we're willing to say, I'm not voting for this anymore, I'm not going to settle for this anymore. I voted for you. I built up a backlog of support. You've got to even out your action for me. And he is. That's the Lieutenant Governor, Garland Gilchrist. Just smiling, just a happy Negro. For what, I don't know. But, we have too many black people. We have too many people of color who have been perfectly fine to sell out their communities for their own personal gain. I got something I wanted to talk about. I did want to talk about this. So let me pull this up. This is almost, you couldn't make parody better than this. I'm going to pull up the Fox News article, I think. Let me see if I can find it. But you couldn't make parody better than this, because what we see is they're playing us. Every politician now coming up is a socialist. That's what they say. And they get $270,000 a year in the government. They don't pass any bills. They don't do nothing. And they're continually talking about, we working for the people and all this other stuff. It's not happening. Let me share. I'm going to share this article. I'm going to share this article. I would like everybody to have a look. So it's Fox News article. It says, actor Michael Rappaport calls out AOC over Met Gala dress. It says Michael Rappaport, the actor, offered a sharp criticism for Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for wearing a sleek white dress with "Tax the Rich" splashed in red on the back as she arrived at the uber swanky Met Gala Monday night. Tickets for the famed event can fetch at least $30,000, and it attracts some of the most influential power players in fashion, movies, and culture. Rappaport seemed to take particular offense at a politician who he said should be a public servant hobnobbing with the glitterati. So he says, AOC custom tax the rich dress while at the most elitist event in the world. AOC will soon be rich with a ginormous production deal from somewhere and done with politics, guarantee it. Stop treating any of these people like celebrities. They are public servants and work for us. So here she is right here. This is her. And I got to stop sharing this to show you the other, to show you. I thought it would open up in the same, but it didn't. But I got to show you this. Could do a whole window and just do a separate, but. So here she is. This is her. And what she says is the medium is the message. And so here's the close-up of her outfit. And it says tax the rich. Now, this woman here, I'm going to read. She tweeted something next to it. But here's what she says. And before haters get wild flying off the handle, because she want to act like she's one of us, so she tries to use the lingo of the people, of black people, like we talked about, the commercialization of black culture. New York elected officials are routinely invited to and attend the Met due to our responsibilities in overseeing and supporting the city's cultural institutions for the public. I was one of several in attendance this evening. So this is her with this tax service dress. This is the dress designer here. And she says, Proud to work with Aurora James as a sustainably focused Black woman immigrant designer who went from starting her dream, Brother Vellies, at a flea market in Brooklyn to winning the CFDA against all odds, and then worked together to kick open the doors at the Met. The time is now for childcare, healthcare, and climate action for all tax the rich. Now, so I looked up Aurora James. She's Canadian. Now, that's not to say she's not Black. That isn't to say she's not an immigrant. But I don't really consider Canadians immigrants. You speak the same language. You live right above us. I'm in Detroit. I see Canadians. I can see, like Sarah Palin say, I can see Canada from my house. You know what I'm saying? You speak English. You didn't even need a passport to go to Canada. You could before 9/11, you could just use your birth certificate. But you're trying to make this story. I'm helping this poor immigrant Black woman. Her mother is, I believe, Canadian of like Scotch and something French ancestry. Her father is Ghanaian. You from Canada. You born in Toronto. You grew up in Jamaica. You're not poor. Immigrant doesn't mean poor. That's the trick bag language. Immigrant don't mean poor. Immigrant just mean you from here and you live here now. I immigrated when I moved to Georgia with an E. Immigrated. That don't mean you poor. You just moved. And if anything, moving from Canada to America, anybody moving to America from a first world country got some kind of credentials, if not money. And even as an American, you can't go to Canada to get citizenship in Canada unless you have a skill or you are a refugee. I tried it. I said, well, look, I'm going to just move to Canada. And as an American, you can't even move to Canada unless you have some type of skill, a degree or something like that, or you are a refugee. But they're using this trick bag language to get us. Oh, yeah, AOC is down. Okay, let's say you were. Let's say as a congresswoman from New York City, you received tickets to the Met Gala. Why did you have to go and dress the part? Go there and wear a pantsuit from the Gap. Go in there and get some clothes from the thrift store. Like the people that live in your district. The Bronx is one of the poorest congressional districts in the country. Up there with places in West Virginia and Mississippi and Alabama and Louisiana and Georgia. The Bronx is one of the poorest congressional districts in the country. But you going to the Met Gala because you got invited and you acting like you just, come on, dog. You playing us. You playing us. You playing us. You playing us. And I'm letting you play me. And you say you my friend. And that's what I'm supposed to deal with. When you had the opportunity to vote out Nancy Pelosi for Speaker of the House, you didn't do it. When you had the opportunity to stand up for all the millions of people who are going to lose their homes because of a government shutdown and inadequate funds to keep them afloat in their homes, right? You left. You let the people leave. Now you're talking about tax the rich? This is your second term. We voted you in, and I don't say we because I didn't give her no money or no support, but we voted you in as a collective over Joe Crowley, and you turned into Joe Crowley. What's the point of that? Again, representation don't matter. If you will elect a Puerto Rican woman to be your congressperson over a white man, and she give you the same results as the white man, what's the difference? What's the benefit? She was the one playing homeless, Robinson. She said she couldn't afford to live in New York and DC at the same time because she didn't have her first check. You got all these members of the squad. I think it's up to like 8 or 9 members now. Rashida Tlaib. She's the congresswoman for Inkster. She's the congresswoman for Ecorse and River Rouge. She's She's a congresswoman for Westland. Not Westland, for the west side of Detroit. Anybody, Google Inkster, Michigan. It's the smallest big city in America. I think they should take the name from Reno. It's the smallest big city in America. And it's poor as hell. And that's where my family from. And Rashida Tlaib want to talk about her grandma and her Palestinian grandma. And now look, I think justice for everybody. But my grandma can't afford to live good in America, in a country her ancestors built for free. And we taking in 300,000 Afghan refugees or 30,000 to Michigan or something for a war that this government did. This government perpetuates all this stuff. As I say, it all starts at the top. How do they continue to create buffers to come to America to separate blacks from everybody else? Inktown, stand up, Robinson. But how do we allow people? I appreciate you, bro. I'm glad you could tune in. But how do we allow people to change the narrative and step on us to get to where they got to go? And we don't do nothing. And they tell us that our suffering ain't as severe as the suffering of some other group. And we in our country suffering. And they coming over here and reaping rewards and benefits. And this ain't about hate. This ain't about hate. This ain't about xenophobia. This is about justice. Inkster don't even have a police force no more. If they do, they just got it back within the last 3 to 4 years. Inkster don't have a school district no more. They tore the schools down within 6 months. And that's generous. It was like 3 months. They tore the schools down. They tore them down. Why do you tear schools down? Who's going to build new schools? Who's going to build new schools? So you have this situation where black people, we got to just eat the failure, as Yvette Carnell would say. We got to eat the failure. We are the ones who sustain the system. You can take 15%, and I'm being generous, it's between 13 and 15% of the population, and you could offset the whole system with our failure. You put us in jail. You put us in the ground. You give us the menial jobs. You give us least resources. That offsets the greed of everybody else. The system is getting so large, though, the greed is getting so intense that Jeff Bezos can't be a trillionaire and a middle-class white family still survive. The middle-class white family got to become poor, too. So everybody's getting the squeeze now because Jeff Bezos want to be rich. He don't want to be rich. He want to be God. He said he wants to be a trillionaire. And you can't have a system where anybody has money and you still got trillionaires, and you got trillionaires and billionaires. It don't happen. So these people talk this game to all of us to make us feel like they're doing things for us. And, oh, like the governor, the lieutenant governor, oh, you know, the Republicans, I wanted to pass this legislation, but the Republicans wouldn't vote it in. That's what you say. That's what you say. You poison our water. The Flint situation ain't rectified, and this is something I want to do. That's true. Bezos couldn't do it without our government. I want to bring this up. I've been wanting to bring this up for a while, and I keep forgetting. But there's a city in Montana called Libby. And they got Medicare for all. Libby, Montana got Medicare for all. And I'm going to show you how, and I'm going to show you what relevance that has. Libby, Montana, how Libby, Montana got Medicare for all. This is from 2011. So they've had Medicare for all that long. In 2009, when the Washington Beltway was tied up with healthcare reform, with the healthcare reform tussle, Montana Democratic Senator Max Baucus, chairman of the all-powerful Senate Finance Committee, said everything was on the table except for single payer. So this is a Democrat who told everybody in America that you can't have single payer health care. Woo! That was a loud thunder. You got to forgive me. But Medicare for all was off the table. Single payer was off the table for everybody. When doctors, nurses, and others rose in his hearing to insist that single payer could be included in the debate, Baucus had them arrested. As Moore stood up, Baucus could be heard on his open microphone saying, "We need more police." Yet, when Senator Baucus needed a solution to a catastrophic health disaster in Libby, Montana, and surrounding Lincoln County, he turned to the nation's single-payer healthcare system, Medicare, to solve the problem. Baucus's problem was caused by a vermiculate mine that had spread deadly airborne asbestos, killing hundreds and sickening thousands in Libby, Montana, and Libby and Northwest Montana. The W.R. Grace company that owned the mine denied its connection to the massive levels of mesothelioma and asbestos and dodged responsibility for this environmental and health disaster. When all lawsuits and legal avenues failed, Baucus turned to our country's single-payer plan, Medicare. The single-payer plan that Baucus kept off the table is now very much on the table in Libby. Unknown to most of the public, Baucus inserted a section into the health reform bill that covers the suffering people of Libby, not just the former miners, but the whole community, all covered by Medicare. They don't have to be 65 years old or more. They don't have to wait until 2014 for the state exchanges. No 10-year rollout. It's immediate. They don't have to purchase a plan. This is not a buy-in to Medicare. It's free. They don't have to be disabled for 2 years before they apply. They don't have to go without care for 3 years until Medicaid expands. They don't have to meet income tests. They don't have to apply for a subsidy. They don't have to pay a fine for failure to buy insurance. They don't have to hope that the market will make a plan affordable. They don't have to hide their pre-existing conditions. They don't have to find a job that provides coverage. Baucus inserted a clause in the Affordable Care Act to make special arrangements for them in Medicare, and he didn't wait for any Congressional Budget Office scoring to do it. Less than 2 months after the passage of the health reform bill on March 23, 2010, Nancy Berryhill of the Social Security Administration in Denver joined personally in setting up an office in Libby to sign up these newly eligible people. This is a new thing, Berryhill told Masulin. No other group like this has ever been selected to receive Medicare. Berryhill issued a nationwide alert to inform anyone who had lived or stayed in Lincoln County of their eligibility. She opened a storefront in Libby at the old downtown city hall where she signed up 60 people on the first day. She plastered the towns of Whitefish and Eureka with pamphlets explaining the program and adding 3 new staffers to the office in Kalispell. Berryhill said she did not know how much care would cost. That kind of analysis was beyond her directive to sign the people up. There have been no reports of competition from the private for-profit Medicare Advantage plans. The sick are not profitable. And so I want to stop there for now. But understand, they could have done this for Flint. Obama could have done this for Flint. Obama could have done this for every individual citizen who has been subject to lead poisoning because of faulty pipes or government inaction, and he didn't do it. And AOC haven't brought it up, and Nancy Pelosi haven't brought it up, and Rashida Tlaib haven't brought it up, and Debbie Stabenow haven't brought it up, and Gary Peters haven't brought it up, and Joe Biden haven't brought it up. These people got Medicare for all because of not even a government issue. The situation in Flint, we covered it, was one of our first episodes. That was a government issue because the governor of Michigan diverted the city of Flint's water from Detroit to the Flint River to get ready for a pipeline they was building that would get them off Detroit city water. This was a private company who was digging asbestos that poisoned people, and the U.S. taxpayers paying for it. And in Flint right now, You got people who are drinking water or they're around water they don't feel safe using. Even that young woman, I think it was last year, it was at the Juneteenth celebration in Flint. She killed the police because her boyfriend had been killed. She was 19. Now, the Flint water crisis happened in 2013. So that's 8 years ago. If she was 19, she was 11. She was at the prime age to be a victim of lead poisoning. And those types of irrational behaviors, coupled with an adolescent or post-adolescent, early adult, not fully developed brain, would cause a person to do that. And none of your Democratic people. This guy was a Democrat. Baucus is a Democrat. He wasn't arguing for all of us to get health care. He wasn't arguing for everybody who got an issue to get help. Just his people. And where is your people? Where are your people? Where is your help? Where are the people that you've been voting for your whole life who are standing up for you so that you can get the care you deserve? They're giving you a free shot because they love you. That's what they say. It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. They love you so much that at every turn, they're against giving you health care. At every turn, they're against giving justice to black people. But they love you. And you've been voting for them for 50 years. And this is what you got to show for it. Like Robinson said earlier, you are a pawn. We are pawns. I was just talking to a friend of mine about that. He said, you got to just play the game of chess. And I said, you do. I said, but this is what you got to understand. I said, we're not playing chess like you think of chess. I said, when black people are playing chess, this is the equivalent of the odds we're up against. You're playing chess, right? But all you got is pawns. And you only got half the pawns of the person you playing against who got a full set of pieces, and they got all queens. How you going to win a chess match like that? When all you got is pawns and you only got half the number of pieces and all they got is queens. How you going to win? We're in a situation where they want you to, like the Richard Pryor joke, who you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? And they want you to believe them. And I want you to believe your lying eyes. They're playing us. Children have had severe mental disability. Adults have had severe mental disabilities and physical disabilities. Babies, women have, this woman, one of our early episodes, this woman had 3 or 4 miscarriages from the lead in the water in Flint. And they giving them in Libby, Montana, free Medicare. And they don't have to wait 2 years, or they don't have to wait 3 years, and they don't have to pay a fine because they don't have insurance from their job, even though their job offer it. They don't have to be 65. It's 2021. The article said they don't have to wait till 2014. It's 2021. I have a family member whose spouse died from the pandemic as a result of health complications due to the virus. I don't want to get too personal because it's not my place to, but their spouse had a combination of, if I'm correct, pneumonia and Rona. And I watched a documentary. I have to find this too. It wasn't a documentary. It was like a quick video of a guy. He lived in like Kazakhstan or something. And he had pneumonia and coronavirus. He was a long hauler. That was what the whole thing was. He was a long hauler. And he had been dealing with the symptoms for a year. And here my black cousin in America, their spouse had it for a matter of weeks and died. And this person in Kazakhstan has been living for a year with these symptoms. He was given an interview. He said, because I'm doing this interview, he was on oxygen. He said, because I'm doing this interview, I'm not going to have oxygen later today. He said, I'm not going to have oxygen later today. And he's been alive for a year. And here my family is in America. They're gone within a matter of weeks. I'm going to play this video. I want to share my screen here.
Consequences of coronavirus still bite a significant
I don't know where the guy really is from.
People do say they are still suffering symptoms of COVID-19.
I just said Kazakhstan, but I don't really know.
After they initially caught the virus, one study last year suggesting it can affect up to 25% of those infected. Well, we spoke to Filippo Sagona, who caught the virus a year ago and still hasn't recovered.
My life changed in October
So he's in Italy.
2020 when I caught the COVID-19 virus. From that moment on, everything changed for me. I started the therapies at home, but I was practically motionless in bed for a month and a half. No hospital answered our calls. They told me to go to the hospital, but there were many COVID patients, and I was afraid I'd never leave that hospital. I received medical care at home, but no doctor confirmed my illness. After a month and a half, I tested negative for COVID, but the nightmare had begun. My life is no longer normal. I can no longer do anything.
Well, long COVID is a condition that continues for more than 12 weeks after infection. Those suffering from it may feel extremely tired, have chest or joint pains and also memory loss, and can also suffer from organ problems too. Filippo again explains how long COVID has impacted his life.
I am a long COVID sufferer, confirmed. I can absolutely say that life totally changes. On the surface, we look like very normal people, but that is absolutely not true. Now, as I speak to you, my right eye has lost fluid behind the retina. And even if I look normal, I tell you that's not so. I can't see in one eye, and the ophthalmologist has told me that it will take many months to recover. This is an effect from COVID. Another is sleep apnea. I can't walk. I can't have a normal life. I can't be with people even though I'm 44. But the worst thing, what makes it worse, is that I can't even play with my children. I'm mentally destroyed. I'm depressed. Every day is a disaster. I lack oxygen, and tonight I won't even be able to speak because I'm wasting all the oxygen for this interview. I'm really sick. COVID has destroyed me.
Now, Italy's a first world country. America's a first world country. And this man's been living a year like this. He's been living a year like this. And this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. You know? Fundamentally, our healthcare system is broken. Fundamentally, our justice system is broken. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. Ain't nobody concerned. Nobody is concerned. Because people like us, black people like us, and poor are victims in this country. Not in exactly the same way. But this is what we have to deal with. And you don't, because you got bills to pay. You got to go to work. You got to figure it out as best you can because you have bills to pay. You can't qualify for aid. You can't qualify for subsidy. You can't qualify for nothing. And the people who you vote in year after year after year, they don't give you nothing. A lot of people haven't even heard of Libby Montana. The story I read, a lot of people hadn't even heard of it. And it was years ago. It was 12 years ago. They've had Medicare for all for this county. And they offered it to anybody who's ever even lived there. You don't even have to still be there. If you ever lived there at that time period, you got Medicare for all. I'll post a link in the description for that article in case anybody is interested in reading it anymore. But this is why people are skeptical. This is why the people who are not skeptical need to be compassionate to the people who are. This is why. You know, they'd like us to be divided. They'd like us to have contentious relationships with each other. That's what they want. They want us to have discord so that we don't come together and make justice for everybody. They want you to have fear so that you continue to give your freedom away and your rights away. That's what they want to do. That's the playbook. We have a long history of propaganda in this country that creates these situations we live in. You know, it is unfortunate that, and I've said this for many times, that for Black Americans, American Negroes, Native Black Americans, our largest impediment to upward mobility has and continues to be our own government. I'm not a libertarian because I feel like there are fundamental issues with libertarianism, but I understand why they feel that way. And you can't reduce Black issues to poor people issues. You do a disservice to the uniqueness of both of those group situations. Black Americans aren't just poor people. We're made poor. We're necessary poor. We're impoverished. It's a systemic problem. It's not a coincidental. It's not a bad choice. It's not bad luck. And the question is why? Why did we pick Black people to be the bottom? Why do we pick Black people to be the shoes? Why do we pick Black people to be the tool? And how much longer can the system exist with so much wealth calcification? I encourage everybody to go look at Soylent Green. I looked at some of it yesterday, and I just saw that's supposed to be 2022. Soylent Green is 2022, and it's supposed to be 40 million people in New York. And I mean, the movie ain't far off. It's not far off. It is off. It's not far off. You know, we have to wake up. I say this all the time. I want to try to wrap it up. I don't want to keep people here long. I know I rambled a lot in the very beginning, but we have to wake up. We need to wake up. You have to be ready and willing to sacrifice everything for freedom. For freedom, not for safety. You can never be 100% safe, no matter how hard you try. And you never can be 100% free. But it's better to be more free than more safe. Because where do you draw the line on freedom? You know, this is a constant quest. It's a constant quest for justice. We need justice. We need freedom. We need truth. Who is willing to sacrifice it all for those three things? Justice and freedom and truth. Who's willing to say, who wants to say that? I'm willing to sacrifice it all for not security. You can't be secure, but for freedom. I want to be able to fulfill the creed that the country was supposedly founded on, that my people have never been able to partake in, even to today. That's what I want. Like Martin Luther King said, America cashed a check and the check bounced and said insufficient funds. I want my check to clear this time, and I'm fighting for it to be clear. Please like, share, and subscribe to the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's not normally me by myself. It's a lot more of banter and dialogue with the other three, my other three co-hosts. But there's a reason there was murder. There's a reason they got rid of those people who are willing to sacrifice it all for justice and freedom and truth. And so every day, I said I'm going to wrap it up. But like I said, I've said this before. I used to talk to my dad, when I was a kid. I would say, how do we get to the point where you could own a human being and nobody say nothing? How do you get to a point where, like with the Nazis, where people are taking their neighbors and putting them on trains and sending them to go get burned in ovens and gassed in gas chambers? How do we get to that point? And you see it happening every day now. You see the fear that the media is pushing on people, the ways in which they're trying to push authoritarianism, no matter what you want to call it. We see it every day. You are personally offending me because you have a difference of opinion. Now you're my enemy. I was your neighbor yesterday, but because you've made a decision that I don't like, that I think, no proof, that I think affects me negatively, you're my enemy now, and I want you gotten rid of. And whatever bad thing happens to you is justice for me. We've got to learn to distinguish between justice, the perception of justice, and true justice. I don't have the answers today. And it's not one of those you'll know it when you see it. Because too many things that we've allowed to be relative to people, right, subjective to people's situations, have resulted in the mass murder and oppression of others. The slave trade, for example. But we have got to learn to open our minds and our hearts and seek truth together and freedom together and justice together. You cannot let them tear us apart. And I'm not trying to be like all kumbaya here, but you can't let them tear you apart. You can't let them dehumanize you or your neighbors so that you get so fractured that whatever they do, you don't even see it as a problem now because you've accepted that this person is irredeemable. We've got to grow past that. They've been working on us for years and years and years. They've been molding people for years to do just what they're doing now. History repeats itself. The full quote is, those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. History repeats itself. And they're making sufficiently sure that you don't learn it so that it does repeat itself. And then in 50 years, when we got a new never again, and our grandchildren or great-grandchildren are asking us, how did it get that bad? What are we going to say? Open your eyes. Research. Don't take my word for it. Don't take our word for it. Find the truth. Seek the truth. Be skeptical. Be conspiratorial. They've never done this. It should be much easier for black people. They've never done you good ever. Why would they start now? Why do they care about you so much now? I just read you an article about the county in Lincoln County in Montana where they gave them white people Medicare for all. And in Flint, the people still got to be worried about whether their water is safe. You got people still showering and bathing with bottled water. I like that. I like this. Truth is stronger than facts. Truth is stronger than facts because it's the truth. Like Mark Twain. They say Mark Twain said it. There's only lies, damn lies, and statistics. You also got another good one. It is easier to trick a man than it is to prove to him that he has been tricked. So I'm beating a dead horse over here, and I don't mind because hopefully some people will listen. Some people will get this. But I'm going to let y'all go. I know I kind of rambled. I hope it came together. True. He did. He did. Let me find that clip. I wanted to play that clip. Let me find that clip. Obama went to Flint and asked for a glass of Flint water. I guess that'll be the last thing I show. He went to Flint and asked for Flint water. It's a Michael Moore's movie. It wasn't his movie. Let me see. It wasn't. I can't remember what movie it was. But let me see. It wasn't his it wasn't that Fahrenheit 11/9 because I think that was about the election. But I need to find it. It's going to be in the Flint. But it's. I didn't expect to. I don't know what I was going to really talk about because I didn't want to do my full topic. But this is going to tie all in together. I'll just see if I can find it. Let's see. Michael Moore called it disappointing because he's from Flint. But it was Fahrenheit 11/9. It was his movie Fahrenheit 11/9. And he still voted for Joe Biden because they told you Trump was the lesser evil. He voted for a man who was the vice president to a man who drank water that was being poisoned by the governor of a state who didn't even belong to the party that the president belonged to. Thank you. College dropout. But he didn't even try to rake the man over the coals, and he wasn't even a member of his party. It's 5 minutes and 35 seconds. And it's very important to watch this whole thing because you get to hear what people's perspectives are. The black people who live in Flint. This is what they think of Obama now. And this is why, I'll let it play. Let me mute myself. Let me see. I may not be sharing the audio. So let me try that one more time. I don't think I hit share audio, and I want to make sure that I do that just so y'all can hear this. I want this to be because this is important.
And when a message is urgent enough, sometimes help arrives.
City of Flint, USA, May 5th, 2016. POTUS has arrived.
The people of Flint had one last beacon of hope.
We were all invited to this big thing where the President Obama was going to speak to us about the problem.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
It's finally here. We've been waiting. Once he can make a conscious decision to push this with urgency.
While President Obama was on his way to the event, Governor Snyder thought he'd take to the stage and warm up the crowd.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I understand why you're angry and frustrated.
Not like we do.
I want to come here today to apologize.
It's too late. It's too late. It's too late. We already sick.
We have a short-term water crisis that needs to be repaired.
Thank you for caring for us, Obama. Flint's recovery is everybody's responsibility. And I'm going to make sure that responsibility is met. That's why I'm here. To tell you directly that I see you and I hear you. We invest. Can I get some water? Come on up there. I want a glass of water.
Get a bottle. Bottle water.
I want a glass of water. Everybody settle down. This is a feisty crowd. Thank you. I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
What? He wet his lips. He did not drink it. He didn't sip it. He wet his lips.
There was an audible gasp in the audience. People were just like absolutely dejected. Why would you do that?
I am sure that somewhere when I was 2 years old, I was taking a chip of paint, tasting it, and I got some lead.
Yeah, that's like talking about like, well, I didn't wear a seatbelt and I'm fine. It's like, but there were tons of people that died.
Backstage, the president, sitting at the table with the criminal governor, decided to perform his stunt all over again.
Generally I have not been doing stunts here, but
That's not what I expected. That's what Snyder did.
It felt like he minimized like what people are actually going through and struggling with. If you were actually lead poisoned, you would not be president. You would be janitor Barack Obama.
We were holding on to hope that he would declare a disaster area. A disaster would give us FEMA. It would give us pipe replacement, get engineers in here. Then we could get Medicare for all the residents of Flint. As soon as he took a drink of the water and said everything's fine, that was that.
And look at it, years later, it's still poison.
When he came here, he was my president, but when he left, he was not my president.
I would again go back to the president's visit last week. He reinforced the message that filtered water has been determined to be safe for people to drink.
This again was our hero, and we thought he was going to come here and help us. But they do have a mural of him, and you ride past it now and his head is busted out.
It was devastating, and it depressed the vote. And I know people that stayed home and just said to hell with all of them.
I don't know. I don't know.
But
I don't know why. I don't know why anybody would have advised him to do that. And I don't know why I would do it.
And to the average person, then the Democrats don't look like the people who are going to come to the rescue.
Right.
So in Flint, the number is something like 8,000 African-American voters who voted twice for Obama chose not to vote.
Hillary lost.
In Michigan, by 2 votes per precinct on average, 2 votes per precinct, 10,000 and some votes was it.
So I wanted to share that because this is true. You had all those people when Obama had this party, the tent for this party he had in the middle of was supposedly the worst pandemic in 100 years was larger than his house. And his house was on 30 acres of land in Martha's Vineyard. And you had John Legend and his wife who told a 16-year-old girl to kill herself. You had Erykah Badu. You had all these different celebrities, some smoking weed and all this other stuff going on. While our people are still being put in jail, while Joe Biden is still making sure mandatory minimums stay in place, and his son is a crackhead, right? And this is what he did for y'all. And like the lady said, if he would have said this was a disaster or we could have had emergency funds, they could have gave us all Medicare. He didn't do that because he's not concerned with y'all. And all these other celebrities who have found it okay or sufficient to put their lot in with the elites, they don't care about y'all. I ain't going to tell you who to listen to. I'm not going to tell you what to buy. You know, if you like Erykah Badu music, I ain't listened to her since this all happened. But I still think about her songs in my head because her music is culturally impactful in my life. But how you going to be some political activist or some moral anything? And you with this guy? You with him? John Legend? You with him? Everybody just think it's cool. Yeah, man, we got Trump out of there. And niggas still dying. And things ain't got no better. And what you think gonna happen in 2024? And what you think gonna happen in the midterms? You going out and vote for Obama, Biden? You going out and voting for AOC? You going out and voting for they taking Brenda Lawrence? You going out and voting for Rashida Tlaib? Now she's probably still gonna win because of her district. But are you going out and giving your time and effort and support to give these people in office again? No. Because why? Because why? What difference does it matter if the boot on your neck is a different color? If it's red or if it's blue? If it's a donkey or an elephant? What difference do it make? At least when Trump was in office, you knew you didn't have no friend. And he didn't even do this. Trump was trying to get people as much money as he could. He was going to buy your vote one way or another. And here you got a guy, he ain't doing nothing for you. And if you unvaccinated, they saying you don't even deserve health care. We live in a country with the worst health care in the developed world. And they trying to figure out ways to deny more people health care in the middle of what is supposed to be the greatest pandemic in 100 years. And I'm crazy because I think this is all strange. I'm the conspiracy theorist. The man makes me sick. Barack Obama make me sick. His wife make me sick. His kids make me sick. He makes me sick. My mama used to say sick people die. I'm close. He make me sick. They make me sick. And so I come out here with my 3 co-hosts and we try to fight for justice. We try to rile people up, to move the spirit in our people, to stand up for themselves and proclaim that they deserve justice and that they want freedom. And so even though they couldn't make it, I want to stand here and carry the torch until they get back. So we know, our audience know that, you know, the light ain't off. So go set a watchman. You know what I mean? We got a watchman set. Somebody going to be here every other Tuesday, unless they lock us up, every other Tuesday, somewhere between 7 and 8 or 7 and 9. Because this is something we want you to understand. This is important to us. This is important to us. Justice is important to us. Freedom is important to us. And the conditions of the American Negro, the descendant of freedmen, the descendant of slaves, Native Black Americans is important to us. My community is important to me. So I'm a quote. I'm gonna try to do everybody close out. You know, Ernest, he just say, you know, try to take the information. Darvell, we hope you enjoyed our show. Please like, share, and subscribe. Gerard, we have no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. And I'm going to tell you, keep fighting. Try to unify. Don't let them tear you apart. Every time somebody say, oh, this is like Nazi Germany, they try to trivialize it. Nazi Germany, Hitler didn't win an election and then start putting people in camps. That's not how it worked. He didn't win the election and then say, okay, we're going to bust people's doors in. That's not how it happened. It's a process. They didn't just take people from Africa and make them enslaved for the rest of their life. Even that was a process. This is a process. And we have to be willing to stop the process. We've seen this movie before, and we didn't like it. And ain't nobody going to save us. We ain't got nobody with A-bombs that's going to save us. We stuck. They talk about all these immigrants, they getting deported. We're stuck. You can get kicked out. We're stuck. Where we going to go? Where you going to send me to? A camp. The grave. You could get deported and go back to Mexico and figure something out. We stuck. Don't let them get us down. Don't let them trick us. Don't let them trap us. Try to unify. Please wake up. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Please. I'm gonna put the links to some of the stuff that I linked to in the article. I mean, in the video. Please. We got our other mod here. Our other mod is in the chat. But please, don't fall for it. Be skeptical. Keep asking why. Think about why. Why would a country who don't even want to give these people who was poisoned by their government health care want to give me anything? So I'm going to let y'all go. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you sticking by with me while we figured this out. Please share. If you enjoy what I talked about, if you enjoy our show, please share the message. Please engage. I appreciate all of y'all. I really do. Peace.